I am Jeffrey Rogue Kohut. This is my Potter's Journal for, it must be March now, 2024. In today's video, I will be making some little storage jars with a lid as honey jars. I've got the sticks, over 100 of them, if you saw my Pandora's box of accessory parts. This can also be used as a garlic jar with the holes in, or for sugar, or just as a little storage jar. Also, in today's video, you will see me fail spectacularly. Okay, watch carefully and see if you can tell where I went wrong. Let's see what's going on in the studio today. Honey jars. I have been putting this off and putting this off and putting it off. These things are just maddening to make. Oh, you know, I just finished last winter about this time, January, February, making 30 garlic jars, pretty much the same thing, when I discovered I had a box containing the 100 honey sticks. So it immediately, and actually those 30 jars, I had to remake the lids because I used a broken ruler to measure the lid size. One of those ones that rolls up on itself, the little thing on the end that, you know, would clip on the end of a 2x4, the screws were loose. So there was about 1/8 of an inch mistake with a broken ruler, so I had to remake the lids. And you know, I'm still not sure that that was the only problem, that the way the pieces, the way the lids shrink, the lid may shrink actually different than the pot, the gallery in the pot. So there's a lot working against you on this. And from what I've noticed, okay, the big boys, the full-time professional pros, little jars seem to be okay out there on the inventory lists with quite high price tags on them. So they appeared again on my list in the summer. They never got made. I kind of done is I thought, well, if I just make 6 for holiday sales in the fall, never happened. So we are finally getting to it. I try to leave a little extra thickness up at the top because, okay, we're gonna need it up there. And I come back with the rib and do a final on the side, and this is where I start to give it some shape, but I probably shouldn't, because as you work on the lid and collar it in, it kicks out the side. So I just try to give it a little bit of shape and form, not too much. I really need to get one of those sponges on a stick. I don't know, this may be my last chance to get in there and get excess water out, but because I don't know, I'm doing that 3 different times. So okay, there's about 12. Okay, we will collar that in because I'm making these about 2.5 inch. This may be about 20 ways of doing this wrong. Okay, so I think I've got about the 2.5 inches I need there. So, okay, I'm just rounding off the edges. I've been folding that out and trying, the inside is coming straight up to the edge of the gallery lid, so it'll be easier to use and clean. And then I'm bringing this out
Whether this is a good way to do it or not, I don't know. And then folding it up. And we'll give that another check. It's a little bit wide. Oh, yes, quite a bit wide. So I've been coming in with a rib to give a straight up and down. It sometimes seems to work better than others. I like to have this fairly tall because we don't want the lid to fall off and out. So trying to keep that somewhat deep. And okay, good. Okay, the bottom I got a really sharp stick here, coming back and trimming and shaving. And you know, that's not only just trimming and shaving to give it a bit more shape and form. I think this is kind of it's also pushing in a little bit too. To give it some shape and form. And this is, I think, maybe the classic honey jar shape. This is the one that, oh, that cartoon bear seemed to use. Yeah, now these are coming out each one a little bit different. I put black slip on some, and on those I will just put a sea mist aqua glaze from Standard Ceramics, and the black shows through nice. And then for the ones with the tan and my clear kind of green glaze, I've been using a white slip. Okay, not getting it on the bottom because we have to lift these off. And I do a slight undercut at the bottom that'll be unglazed. Okay. And, okay, so we do the comb through and the trailing bit with the black slip up here. Fairly simple. Get more skill at the trailing bit, and okay, so all the crying, but they haven't been coming out that bad.
How about that? Maybe not so bad. What is that, Sam? Okay, yes, I'm fostering. Now, I hadn't thought I'd gone wrong up to this point, but maybe I did. Here is a hint at where I thought I'd gone wrong, and where I had gone wrong before in my old kiln shed. And this was my old kiln shed, an old truck body. I think Past Pot Page has her kiln outside. She probably needs to get one of these. And there is an old kiln sitting here, but here's the hint. Here's where I'd gone wrong before. Look at all these abandoned old lids that don't fit, even one with the glaze. There's more down there. Okay, I used to put the ware shelves back there, and there were two kilns here. Two kilns in here. And here's a box on top of the one. And look at this. A whole of old lids that don't fit. If I look around, there's maybe more of these. Probably enough to towel a wall or even pave a driveway. Let's see if we can get it right this time, or if I go wrong again. Lids this size, 2.5 inches, I find the best way to do it is throwing them off the hump. I guess it could be done directly on the wheel, cut off with a flat bottom, but doing this,
I'm able to bring, okay, the lid up and keep the center of it low. Low center of gravity in the middle. That helps, you know, the jars being lifted and moved around. Keeps it from falling out. It's also something that if I'm throwing on the wheel low, like dinnerware plates or pie plates, so many things, I just use the lines on the wheel to judge the size, but this does need to be exact, so there is, okay, a fair amount of checking. And it looks like we can bring that in just a little bit, in and up. Okay, and I'm trying to give it rounded edges. Maybe a little bit more yet. Okay. And smooth out any marks we put in it. That did need to come in just a little bit yet, so we did that. Also, okay, we're going to cut it off right there. I will mark with my thumb. And then I'm going to come down here and mark the lifting pad. The lifting pad does two things. I'm able to lift it off without deforming the lid, and when you put it on a board, the lid would just dry out too fast. So the lifting pad helps to keep it from drying out so quickly.
And now it is the next day, and I'm feeling better about this. They're not too dry. We've got to get holes cut in there, and we need to make sure that it fits in and stands up when we do it. I did an undercut on the bottom, so really that's all we need to do is smooth that off. And I'm going a second time just to make sure, but that's really it. And a stamp. I also put a signature on the bottom and a date. Here is the magic of my little lifting pad. If you cut it in just the right place, all you do is pull it off. And there's the little circular wire cut. There's nothing to do but maybe just, okay, clean up the edge a little bit. Now the problem is finding a pot that it will fit. and how could this possibly be? No wonder I didn't want to do this. So now if these are set, the calipers are set at 2.5 inches, and they fit in there when you're making it without scratching the pot, the opening should be slightly bigger than 2.5 inches. And if this also set at 2.5 inches, when you're making the lid, if the lid fits in there and doesn't scratch it, should be a little smaller than 2.5 inches. So they should all just fit perfect. I use a punch for where the honey stick will go in. And okay, then we're not finished yet. Then come in with a fettling knife and cut out. No! Not again! Is it time to give up? One more try. Another batch of a dozen lids. These, there will be no problem. These are 1/8 of an inch smaller. Hey, it fits, it fits. Oh, wait a minute, that one's kind of tight. Oh, wait a minute, that doesn't fit at all. It doesn't fit. Okay. Oh no, how could this be? They're still not fitting. These are 1/8 of an inch smaller. The first batch, there wasn't that much difference. One more try. Again? So in the end, I think there's 2 that don't fit and 1 that's really so close that I want to remake it. Am I really that bad a potter? Am I really that bad a potter? Look at that. I can't throw a pot. What has happened here? Again, this is not the first time. Here's a jar that I packed away of lids that don't fit. This is from, let's get the tag. It's from 2022, August. Oh, I thought these were from last year. What happened to the ones from last year that went wrong? However, it's the specked clay, 122. So now I will have a whole jar of my hazelnut clay packed away that don't fit. Let's see, and I think the last time was they were too small. And some of them almost fell through. But, you know, I'm starting to think that since these are not falling through, maybe today where I went wrong was making the opening here. Maybe that was either it shrinks different or yeah, that's where I think I went wrong, that these were too small, that I checked the ruler multiple times when I was making the lid. I don't remember checking the ruler multiple times making the openings. So maybe why I've seen a few potters, thinking Matt Grimmett I saw make a lid, and he and another potter was using a ruler. So using the ruler at the time of making opposed to calipers. Okay, potter's tip, don't use calipers, use a ruler. I think I will switch over to that. Will I ever get lids for all the jars made? Stop back and see what's going on in the studio next week.